Hey guys, my name is Rob Noire, and I've got a special video for you today all about the Nintendo Switch. So I just picked one of these up earlier today. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing and kind of a more, oh god, I should get this kind of thing. And so I figured as a late adopter, I should do a little bit of a video on it and maybe get into it a bit. So first off, for me personally, I'm never the kind of guy who goes out and gets a console right away. Like when this thing released, I would never have even tried to get it. Like it would have been sold out everywhere. It would have been just a pain in the ass. Typically, I actually wait for like the second release of a console. You know, when they usually do like the slimmer one with like the bigger hard drive and all the bugs and shit worked out. Usually I wait for that. So this is honestly the first brand new console I've ever bought within like 6 months of a release. I think it's been about 6 months, maybe. Probably even less, actually. Wasn't it like March, April, June? July, August, that's all the months, I don't know. And so I decided to get this thing for a few different reasons. One of them, which is probably the least important reason, was just that there was a huge deal. Like, I managed to get basically $100 off the purchase, and I got a discount on some other things that I bought with it. So for me, I was like, that's just a great deal. I'm probably not going to find another deal like that unless I went like Black Friday shopping or on Christmas or something, and it's like, fuck that. The second reason that I kind of impulse bought this was that for the first time since the Switch actually released, I'm going to be doing some traveling where I just have like a lot of downtime and I'm not doing anything. Like as an adult, when I'm traveling, I'm usually like the driver or I'm en route and I don't have time to like sit down and play games. It's like, I don't take public transit, so the whole on-the-go aspect of the Switch, it never really applied to me. So now that I'm about to do some traveling, I'm like, hey, this having a full console, that could be really useful and fun. And I can see why, if I was like in high school or back in school or something where I'm just on the bus for like an hour or two every day, bringing like fucking Breath of the Wild and playing that on this thing would be amazing. Like, the kids today, if you're in school and you've got this and you bring it with you, you're fucking lucky, man. I would have loved to have this at that age. And the last reason why I finally was like, yeah, you know, why don't I buy a Switch was that with the upcoming Mario Odyssey game, which is coming out very soon, I don't think will be out by the time this video comes up, but could be, I don't know, I'm not super up to date on the release dates, but with that game finally coming out, I feel like there's actually like a strong enough library of games where I can buy a bunch, play them all, have a good time, and like feel like this purchase was worthwhile. So all that being said, I'm really curious to see how this thing works, how it feels, what it's like. I've never played a Switch before, ever. I never have. I'm really looking forward to a lot of the games that they have out for it. Like, there's so many. Like, I mentioned Breath of the Wild. There's a new Mario game. There's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. There's fucking Puyo Puyo Tetris. There's Splatoon. There's ARMS. And then there's a bunch of indie titles and other ones you can download. There's a good library now. So all that being said, let's get down to the actual review, the meat of this video. And to start it off, I figured I would actually do an unboxing of everything I've bought. First time I've ever done one of those videos, so who the fuck knows how this will go. Alright guys, let's get right to it. Alright guys, so obviously we're starting with the console here. So let's open this bad boy up. Again, I have not opened this or looked at it yet. So this is as new to me as it is to you. Unless you're somebody who owns a Switch, at which point, why are you watching a review and should you buy this episode? Why? Why? I don't get it. So let's open this bad boy up. And okay, so there's where we're at right now. And okay, first things to say, this here, I guess that's the actual Switch. That is, it's a bit smaller than I was expecting, I have to admit. This is much smaller, but let's get this out here. Okay, so there we have the actual Switch, and then we have the stuff it comes with. Standard HDMI cable. This doesn't look like anything special or new that we haven't seen before. I'm assuming it's a high-speed cable as well. The Nintendo brand HDMI cables are okay. I honestly find other brands or something like from Amazon works better, but I mean, you gotta include an HDMI cable. Okay, and then next up we have here the DC adapter, which, gotta say, it's not a giant fucking block, so that's a winner. It is kind of wide though, so that's gonna be fun to figure out, but okay, and then we get here, oh, Joy-Con grips. Okay, this is to attach so that you can so you don't lose it. Again, if you have a Switch, this is probably nothing new to you, so why are you watching? Why? Okay, and so next up would be whatever this is. Oh, this is the little controller you can get so that you can play with like the Joy-Cons as an actual controller. That's cool. I'm glad that's included. I actually wasn't even sure, because I saw a lot of people selling these kind of things on Amazon. Wasn't even sure if that would be included. Then we have the manual, everything, that's nothing new. And here I'm assuming is the charging dock. It looks pretty much like I was expecting, to be honest. Oh, and it has a flip down thing for the AC adapter and the HDMI cable. And then that all comes out the side. That's actually really, I like that. That's a nice design, I gotta say. It's pretty sleek. Doesn't look like it takes up a lot of space either, which is a plus when you own as many consoles as I do. So for the actual Switch itself, we have these two little Joy-Cons, which, oh, okay. So that is actually rubberized. Like this plastic isn't smooth, it's rubber, which is cool. These things are tiny, man. I don't know, like playing a game with a fucking tiny controller like that is gonna take some getting used to for me, especially I have pretty big hands. This thing is like the size of one of my fingers. Like that'll take some getting used to. I'm not sure if these actually serve any purpose other than to just kind of keep it as a tight bundle. I don't know, do these buttons on the side do stuff? They must. So this is cool. I actually, with these on, I actually like this a lot more. This seems kind of like a cool setup. And then this thing, like I said, this actually, I feel like my phone is almost bigger than this. You know, actually it's around the same size as like the PSP Vita or whatever, so it's not that far off. So then this is the Switch. Oh, it's got a micro SD card slot in the back there, that makes sense. Oh, and for games, for games is right up there. Cool. Headphones, volume, power. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it for the actual Switch that I got. That's pretty much everything, which is pretty cool. But then again, I bought some accessories with it, so just to quickly show you those. So I also got a screen protector, because I've heard that's something you really need to be worried about with the Switch. Even when you dock it, like when you put it in this dock over here, apparently if you're not careful, you can scratch your screen. So I got these on sale, 2-pack, can get it on Amazon. Probably a smart call. And then knowing that I was gonna have to carry this thing around everywhere, I got this, which is just a pretty simple, basic carrying case. These guys seem to be making Orsley, they seem to be making a lot of Switch stuff and they seem to get good reviews, so that's always nice. So this is just a really simple, it wasn't expensive carrying case. I'm supposed to be able to put my Switch in right there. Joy-Cons fit in there. This is for games, and then this is for like my random stuff like this. So, I mean, I feel like that was a decent purchase. And then last, but certainly not least, I obviously bought some games. So the first game that everybody would probably think of would be The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But I actually already have that on Wii U. I'm actually doing a playthrough of it. I probably will buy the Switch version and maybe switch the playthrough over. I didn't buy it right away because apparently you can't transfer your save files between systems. Which for me was kind of like, alright, well then I don't need this game right away. So if you're wondering what I got right away, day one, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And if you're wondering, the reason why I got this is because I don't own it, but I played the Wii U version of this game and I absolutely loved it. I'm like, playing this game on the go is gonna be awesome. So that's why I bought Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Just broke the seal there, first time. Wow, that's a tiny fucking cartridge. Wow, this is your game. That little black square there, I'll zoom in right there, that's the size of your game. That's the size of an SD card. That's where we're at these days, I guess, is you can just use SD cards for your games. That's pretty cool. I kind of like the fact that it's a card. It reminds me of like a cartridge, you know? For a console, I like that. The retro gamer in me likes that. And now the only other game that I bought day one, other than what I'm about to download later in the video, would be Puyo Puyo Tetris. If you're wondering why did I get Puyo Puyo Tetris, I've seen like the Game Grumps playthrough of it, I've seen the Kitty Cat Gaming playthrough of it, I've seen a few others, and it just looks like a lot of fun. It'd probably be fun to play with my nephew, fun to play with the family. I think it would just be a fun game to play. And it was cheaper than most of the other Switch games, so I'm like, why the hell would I not? Oh, and that's something really cool, is that they actually send you keychains with it. And I got a little Puyo guy, this right here, and I got a Tetris block. That's cool. Like that's very collectible. I didn't even realize that until I saw it written on the box. So that's just cool. And the game itself, oh, it flew out, is another tiny little fucking cartridge. Tiny little SD card. All right, well, that's it for the weird, I've never done this before unboxing portion. Gotta be honest, I've always felt like unboxing was kind of like non-content. Like I never really got why people did it. It was just, I guess it's just easy. Still feel that way. So let's cut back to me on the couch. Alrighty, so I don't know about you guys, but I'm about ready to plug this thing in, boot it up, and get to playing. Well, do the hour plus of setup, and then get to playing. So that's what I'm gonna do. And now, I'm gonna play obviously a bit here in the docked mode, just get a feel for it then. Then as I said, I'm gonna go on a trip as of tomorrow from when I'm recording this. Not a crazy long trip, but enough to like bust this thing out here and like really fucking, you know, give it a go. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna see how I feel about it as a mobile device. And then I guess we're going to cut to a few days from now when I finish up this review and talk about how I actually feel about this device after having used it for that long. So, I mean, maybe if there's anything interesting that happens right now, I'll show some of that footage, or maybe I'll do an epic montage of me playing Switch. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, you want it? Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Alright guys, so I've had my Nintendo Switch here for about 5 days, which I think is a long enough period to have really gotten a feel for the console and be able to like give my honest opinion. So as I mentioned, I went on a trip where I got to play a lot of this on the road, and that's honestly where the strength of the Switch really shines through. It is a mobile console, like it is a handheld, and it works very well, at least with the games that I have, as a handheld. But if you compare this to like the Vita, the DS, anything, this thing is so much on a higher level than any of those consoles that it really blows them out of the park. So a few of the good things that I'll say about the Switch is that it's got a nice battery life. I was playing a variety of different games for at least about 4 hours, and while my battery was low when I got home, it didn't die. Like, I had no issues. And I had like my screen brightness up, which is one of the things lowered if you want to preserve the battery. I had like my volume high. So honestly, this thing has got enough battery charge to last you a good while. Like any normal trip, this thing is going to do right by you. Another great thing about the Switch here is that it's such a great console to play like with friends or with people. That's something that I really noticed while playing it. One of the things you can do is you can actually prop it up with the little tab in the back, and then you can take off the Joy-Cons and you can just jump right in, and it's got like this little, the fact that it's propped up while you're playing makes it kind of like a little mini TV. And then of course, if you want to have it like a handheld, you just hold it in your hands here. And like, I remember I took off the Joy-Cons and I played Mario Kart 8 with my sister, and it was awesome, the fact that we could just set up wherever the hell we wanted, put this thing down, take off the controllers, and just jump right in. And the fact that you can play like 2 people in the game right away just out of the box, I didn't need an extra controller or whatever. That was awesome. I also played some Puyo and some Tetris with my nephew. Same thing, just pop off the Joy-Cons, prop up the thing, and you're good to go. Now, one of the cons that I have to say about this console is the fact that I do find these controllers are kind of awkward. Like, they're tiny, and if you have like normal sized hands, like not a child's hands, or if you're like me and you have very big hands, it's a little bit awkward to play with them, especially the red one with the joystick in the middle. It just felt weird. And I noticed that in a lot of games, it made the controls, especially with the dual joysticks, really kind of iffy. Like Overcooked is a game that I'm playing on this channel that I'm really, really good at, and I was having a lot of difficulty playing Overcooked on the Switch. One thing to note though is that I feel like this button-based D-pad is really solid. For example, I played a lot of Shovel Knight and I didn't really have too many problems with that. Another one of the great things about the Switch is the fact that you can just literally pop it into the dock, take off the controllers, and then just go right into TV mode. So if you're like on the bus, you're playing it, you get home, you just pop it in, you can pick up exactly where you left off. That's really awesome, and it works pretty much seamlessly. So all in all, this thing is a really good package. The only real digs I would have is the controllers, but I'm sure if you get like a Pro controller, you're gonna have a much easier time. It's more just like the mobile mode, so that's something to keep in mind. Battery life is fine, the graphics look great. The only real issue I have with my Switch at this moment, and it's the thing that I came to realize, is there just aren't a lot of games on it, and most of the games you can get on the Switch are like multiplayer experiences. And multiplayer is fine, multiplayer is great. Like I want to have, you know, friends over and play this thing, to play Mario Kart, to play Puyo Puyo, to play Overcooked, Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, any of those games, that's great. But I don't want this to only be a multiplayer console, and there aren't a lot of solid single-player games. I even looked online to see the games I'm going to buy. I mean, there's Zelda, but other than that, there's not a lot. At least not a lot that are good other than like re-releases on the console. Like this seems to be a great multiplayer console, but the single player, at least this early in, is really not where it's at. So if you're looking for something for like the whole family or for all your friends to get around, this thing, can't recommend it enough. If you're looking for a really good solo experience, this console probably just isn't quite there yet. Maybe give it another 4 to 6 months. And that's honestly the biggest thing I can say against it right now, is just there's not a lot of games. Like I went onto their store, I downloaded all the ones that like looked interesting, and like I have like 5 games on it. Like, and that's not because I was being stingy with my money. I just really, there wasn't a lot there that interested me. So that's kind of the thing. So this video is for like the late adopters, which I would consider myself one because I didn't get it at release. But even at this point, I don't feel like it's a good console if you're all about the solo game. When Mario comes out, that'll be another game that can occupy a lot of your time. Maybe if you haven't played Zelda, that and Zelda will keep you going until the next really good single player game, but honestly the games just aren't really there at the moment. Still though, I love this console. I've played it literally every day for the 5 days that I've had it, every single day, and I don't even have that many games for it. I mean, there's not a lot of games for it, but I don't even have that many of the games that are available. And I can tell that Nintendo is really giving this their all, that they're really trying to make this a success. So I'm really curious to see where this goes. So as a console, I would honestly have to give this thing like 5 stars. The reason is that it's the only console that really successfully bridges that gap between like a mobile and a sit-down TV experience. That being said, if we were going to talk about the games, I'd give this thing like a 2 out of 5 stars, because it's just not there. As I mentioned, it's just not, there's just not enough out for it yet. It's kind of like the problem I had with the Wii U. Everything that was out on the Wii U was great, there just wasn't enough. So my advice is, if you're looking to buy this thing, honestly, wait a few months. Wait until it maybe either drops down in price or there's a lot more games out for it that you can enjoy. Because, to be honest, the potential of this thing right now is kind of capped. So yeah guys, that would be my review. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully if you were on the fence, if you decided you wanted to pick this thing up, or if you weren't sure, now you know. But that's just my 2 cents on it. I do really enjoy this console, like pretty much everything Nintendo puts out. It's solid and it's quality. It's just not quite at the point it needs to be to really be an absolute you have to buy this. But it'll definitely get there. So yeah, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And as always, I will see you in the next one.
That'd be an interesting conversation you can put in your video.
Why you have stove knobs on your controller?
Yeah. Why do you have stove knobs on your paddle controller?
It's this guy again. The boss of this fourth and final divine beast, which means I will have freed the 4 divine beasts, as Zelda said, and I'll be ready to fight Ganon.